Good evening and happy Friday. This is Shayna from the Trade Exchange, and what a strong week it's been for the markets. They all closed up this week over 4%, showing some much needed gains after the last 2 weeks of losses. On top of that, we got the consumer sentiment number, and it came in at 99.9. That's the second highest level in 14 years, and that just shows that the consumer mindset right now is very confident. On the political side of things, very interesting news today when Deputy AG Rod Rosenstein held a press conference regarding the Mueller probe. He announced that Mueller is going to be indicting 13 Russian nationals and 3 Russian entities for the alleged meddling in the 2016 presidential elections. Well, when that news came out, we did see a small downtick in the markets, but they recovered before the end of the day. We had earnings this week as some big names reported, including Coca-Cola and Kraft Heinz. So let's see how they did this week. Well, consumer trends are shifting and it's towards a healthier diet, and this company, for one, is responding. Now, I can recall when I used to love buying Coca-Cola. I used to have one at least once a week. And I know I want less sugar in my diet, so it was one of the first things I actually stopped drinking years ago. I can't remember the last time I actually purchased a soda. And this company has taken notice of consumers who, there seem to be more out there that are just like me. And with that, they're focusing more on pushing coffees and teas and vitamin waters. They actually relaunched their low-calorie Diet Coke and their Coke Zero Sugar. And this strategy of focusing on less sugar in their products, it's working. They beat their earnings expectations. They came in at 39 cents, was expected for 38 cents. Their net operating revenue beat expectations. It came in at 7.51 billion. Expectations were 7.36 billion. And although they did report a net loss, that was simply due and mostly due to a charge that was related to this new tax law. So with that, shares of Coca-Cola, with a strategy that seems to be really working for them, shares of Coca-Cola were up 2%, and throughout the week it kept climbing. The shares are actually up over 5% this week. So we'll see if this strategy continues to work for Coca-Cola going into 2018. Kraft Heinz, take a look at this stock because it dropped nearly 6% today following the release of their earnings and their revenue. Now, just by taking a look at today's chart, you could probably guess that they missed on both. They missed on earnings, they missed on revenue. Their U.S. sales came back, they're down a little bit over 1% from last year. And the CEO, he came out with a statement and he said, quote, "There's no question that our financial performance in 2017 does not reflect our progress or our potential." However, further statements from the CEO have some investors wondering, is Kraft Heinz getting ready to prepare for another possible acquisition attempt in 2018? Because he went on to say, quote, "I think it's fair to say that valuations are more attractive than they were 2 months ago, and the chapter of the Kraft Heinz integration is behind us." So keep in mind, Kraft Heinz, they acquired Heinz in 2015. Last year, they attempted to acquire Unilever for $143 billion, but the bid was rejected. Now, with this attempt at acquisitions, some investors are worried. They say that, Kraft Heinz are known for being cost cutters, but they say, is this their strategy? Do they acquire companies that cut back the costs and reap in the earnings that way? But do they really have the ability to grow the brands? So with this doubt that's swirling around, Kraft Heinz is actually trading at the lowest levels since August of 2015. But 2018 could be an exciting year if we remain to be seen. Are they actually attempting or getting ready to attempt to acquire any more companies? Remains to be seen, but we'll be keeping an eye on this one throughout the year. Well, it's the bulls versus the bears. What exactly is going on with crude oil? Is this just a natural correction, the buildup of all the long-term bets like the bulls are saying? Or is it what the bears are saying? Did we start our downward trend because, well, the United States, they just keep increasing their production? The debate's going to continue, but we can look at what we do know. And what we do know is crude oil is up 4.5% this week. It settled today at 61.68. However, it's still far off from where we were a couple weeks ago when it was trading that 65, 66 handle. If we look at diesel's the physical market of crude, so it's an important one to look at, and it's at its lows. And that gives a legitimate fear. Are we going to have too much supply than we will demand? Especially when I heard from the EIA last week with their projections that they think the United States is going to keep increasing their oil production. In fact, last week, the week ending February 9th, the United States had increased their oil production to 10.271 million barrels per day. That now makes the United States a bigger producer than Saudi Arabia. Looking at the Baker Hughes numbers, yes, the total rig count came back flat today at 975, but the oil rig count was up 7 rigs to 798. So there's a lot of pressure on crude oil pricing right now. What is helping crude oil pricing, however, is the fact that US dollars were at its 3-year lows, and we saw global stock market gains, and of course the OPEC and non-OPEC nations that are continuing to cut back their production by 1.8 million barrels per day. However, these efforts are being offset again by the US oil production. That's the biggest cause for concern on US crude oil right now. So remains to be seen what's going to happen. But we'll be keeping an eye on this to see, is this just a natural correction, or is this in fact the start of a downward trend? And taking a look at our indices, well, the market had a much needed comeback after the last 2 weeks. So the Dow is up for the week 4.25%, closing out 25,219. The S&Ps are up 4.31%, closing out 2732. Nasdaq is up this week 5.3%, closing out 7239. And gold is also up this week. It's up 2.48%, closing out 1350.80. Well, that sums up the markets for this week. And traders, keep in mind that Monday is a holiday, so all U.S. equity markets will be closed on Monday. We'll actually be joining you once again on Tuesday. On a more somber note, on behalf of the entire Trade Exchange team, we do want to send out our heartfelt sympathies and our condolences to all those that were affected by the tragedy that occurred this week in Parkland, Florida. Our thoughts are with you. To everyone else, we wish you a happy and a safe holiday weekend. We look forward to joining you once again on Tuesday. Have a good night.